How you do your apartment search can help you figure out if you're a life manager or a doer. So if you want to know which one of those you are, get on the Knowledge Express because we're ready to do this. Welcome friends, this is where you learn insider secrets and cutting edge methods to win at the rental game and level up. Are you a manager or are you a doer? It doesn't matter what position you actually hold at your job. What I'm talking about is your personality trait and figure out who you are as an individual and find a process and approach that's right for you. So in this segment, we're going to dismantle the process of searching for an apartment to help you figure out, are you a DIY'er or are you a DFY'er? And so the DIY is do it yourself, and then DFY is done for you. And so there is a concept that I want to share with you. That concept is called trading time for money. You will do one of two things in your life generally. You'll either pay somebody to do things for you, and that's where you are not trading your time for money. That's when you're buying time. And also when you do things for someone for money, and that is trading time for money. And that's the difference between doing your own apartment search and then having the apartment search done for you. Would you rather get a live pig, or would you like to get pork chops that are already cooked? Get a live chicken, or would you like to get chicken nuggets? Those are some drastic comparisons of the kinds of DIY and DFY services that you engage in and use all the time that you don't really think about. In an apartment search, most of the time people either go out on their own and they look for apartments and then try their luck with different places, and they like the experience of going out and seeing different apartments and seeing different neighborhoods and meeting new people and meeting landlords and then meeting agents and having that network and building a network and kind of being involved in their own life. That's value for a lot of people. It's part of the journey of life that makes life interesting. But if you're in a position where either you don't like to do that or you can't do that for whatever limitations that are in your life, then for sure you would rather hire somebody who can save you time or money or both. And so that's when you would use a done for you service. I remember when I was little and my folks were looking for an apartment, we had to go to the laundromat to look for bulletins because that was prime real estate for advertisements, and look at stuff that's posted on the bulletin board there or on the door. You'd walk around and drive around and you would listen to the radio and watch television. When the internet was invented, I was 6 years old. Weird. And it's exciting. When people say they do it themselves, it's never done themselves, right? There are still facilitators to the process that allow them to make that thing happen easier. And so if you are hiring somebody, then within the realm of hiring someone, you really also have two paths. You can hire an agent. They will either meet with you to do showings where they will find you listings, and then you have to get yourself approved, and you have to go meet with landlords, and you have to apply, and you have to wait for a credit decision, and if you get denied, you have to go back to the listing sites or back to the realtor or a different realtor, get more listings, go back to viewing apartments, fall in love with the apartment, apply for the apartment, get denied for the apartment, then go back to applying for more apartments, and then just going through that cycle. And that's what traditional apartment searching is like with a traditional brokerage. And so that whole process is complicated in my opinion, and I think unnecessarily complicated and unnecessarily expensive on time and money. And emotional investment, because there is some emotional investment when you're searching for an apartment and you find something that you love and then you get denied. That happens, and yes, people get disappointed. The other way to do it is to have someone get a pre-approval for you with a landlord before you meet with the landlord. So you meet with the landlord, everything has already been discussed, then you check out the apartment and you like it or you don't like it. And if you like the apartment, you just sign a lease because you were pre-approved. And so that's a different DFY process. So with a pre-approval, you don't necessarily see the apartments beforehand because it doesn't make sense, because you see the apartment and you like it, but what if you can't rent it? It doesn't make you happy, does it? And you say, oh, I love this place and I can't wait to rent it, and you're denied. It doesn't matter if you loved it or not. So now let's talk about a DFY process on a pre-approval service. A DFY on 360 10X. I don't know anyone else who's doing that. You meet with an agent at a brokerage that is using the 360 10X platform. There you define your criteria of what you want. You pay them the fee to get the process started, and then they look for a pre-approval for you. They find you 1, 2, or 3 pre-approvals, however many you're able to get based on your qualifications, and those are the ones you go to see. You don't have to experiment with your time and with your money on places where you may not get the approval. So you go go to see the apartments only where you're pre-approved and make a decision for yourself. Do you like it or you don't like it? If you don't like it, you reject the offer and then you go back to speak with the same strategist that you've been working with to look for a different offer. If you do like the apartment, then you sign the lease and then you're done. After you pay the money, of course. You have to pay the money, sign a lease, and then you're done. So is it really a surprise that a lot of people like the DFY process? But let me tell you who the DFY process is not for. If you're indecisive, don't know what your dollar can actually buy you, don't use the DFY process. If you like doing the work yourself and having somebody do it for you is going to stress you out, don't use the DFY process. If you have something to hide about your qualifications and you don't want to tell the agent, it will get messed up because whatever you're trying to hide will come out eventually. Therefore, don't use the DFY process. If you're really focused on the experience, you want to go see the city, you want to be driven around, you want to see lots of different apartments, you like doing things yourself, have lots of time on your hands to go see apartments and just bask in the glory of the apartment search. That is your thing. That's when you're living it up. Doing the apartment search makes you feel just awesome. The DFY process is not for you. DFY process is strictly for people who know what they want, don't have anything to hide, and if you can establish your criteria for the zip codes where you want to live, the number of bedrooms you want to rent, whatever amenities necessary for you, you have the money set aside to pay for the fee, the first month rent, the security deposit. If you know what you want, the DFY process is right for you. If you're short on time or you have a challenge with credit or explaining your income or you have other circumstantial challenges that landlords aren't accepting of, the DFY process is for you. So if you don't have time to waste or money to waste and you just need a solution, the very first time you see the apartment, you want to sign a lease? That's the process for you. Well, you might say, well, why would I want to get pre-approved for an apartment I don't like? That doesn't make sense, but it does. Because if you don't have to see the places where you weren't approved, then you can choose from the places where you were pre-approved, and that's when you know that's your level. Because then you figure out, I keep getting approved for a certain type or certain style of apartment in a certain area. I think that's for you to take a good hard look at what the market will tolerate given your circumstance. If all you're getting are apartments that are $900 and less and you want a $1,200 apartment, and I'm just throwing out numbers here, the market's telling you that you can't afford $1,200. You can afford under $900. If you had spent a month or 2 months only looking at apartments that are $1,200 and were denied for all of them, you would have wasted a whole lot of time and money, right? But if you were only going to view apartments where you were approved and they were of a certain pattern, then you can say, okay, now I know what I can actually get approved for. Now I know what I can actually rent. And so I'm going to go ahead and recognize the message the universe is sending and take an apartment that is within your ability to afford at this time in your life. Things will change in the future, but at least now you know this is what's within your ability and whatever the market is receptive to giving you, and you just roll with it. Because sure, you could invest a lot more time and energy to potentially find something else that might be a better fit than whatever you're getting right now, but it's coming to you at a diminishing return because the more time you invest in something, the higher the cost. There are always exceptions to the rule, and I'm sure that if you look hard enough, you'll find an exception, but you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because at the end of the day, you're not buying that thing. Remember, these are apartments, they're not homes that you're buying. And so trying to find the perfect fit, it could become unnecessarily frustrating for you because you're not building equity and you don't control that environment beyond your lease. You'll have to give up that apartment for someone else to live in. And so I just want you to remember not to treat it as a home purchase. Remember to share this channel with your network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're trying to build a community here, so go ahead and invite your friends and family to participate, because the more people that participate, the better content we can create, the more value we can provide to you. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, and when you subscribe, remember to hit the bell so that you can get notified the next time we publish content. We make the best effort to publish our content every Monday at 6:45 p.m. However, life sometimes gets in the way, so if we're going to be a couple of days late, I don't want you to show up. We haven't really published anything yet, so if you hit the bell, bell, then you'll be notified the next time we publish content. We're really spending a lot of time with every video so that you can have everything in a very concise way delivered to you and very easy to consume. And that kind of thing just takes time. And it's time for the disclaimer. I am not an apartment leasing agent. I'm not a broker. I'm not a realtor. I'm also not an attorney. I'm not providing you any kind of advice whatsoever. I really want you to get the knowledge and the experience that I've acquired, and I'm sharing that with you because it's taken me 10 long years to assemble this so that you can have everything at your fingertips and you can utilize whatever is appropriate for your apartment search at this time of your life. You are a community and you are a family here. See you next time.